world of Naruto is vast, and even vaster than ever now that Boruto's around. Throughout the years, so many different characters have been introduced, and many of these characters are quite memorable. That's kind of the appeal of Naruto, or really any shonen battle manga. Lots of cool characters with cool powers doing cool stuff. You can't win them all though. For every Zabuza and Haku, you might just as easily end up with, what was their name again? The duo with the powers. They fought some ninja. Oh, it's a tough look. With this in mind, and a brand new era of Boruto kicking off, you have to wonder if any characters that were left by the wayside are going to make a comeback. And you know what? They've done it before. They've done it throughout the whole series. Remember that time that Mizuki was a furry in prison? And then there was that other time that they did the whole Ninja World War and all the characters that people liked came back from the dead just to fight one more time. Ah, those are the days. I'm not saying that every character has to be super memorable to be worth your time. But what I am saying is that there are more than a handful that are fun to look back on because more than likely, you've forgotten about them. Here's a list of 10 characters from the Naruto-verse that just sort of stopped being relevant without any real explanation in no particular order. Welcome back to the Amagi. Before we begin, we publish a new video every day, so be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. The Amagi's reach stretches beyond just this channel, so if you're a fan of us, please consider subscribing to our other channels and following us on all of our social media. Help us reach our goal of passing 100,000 followers on all of our accounts by the end of the year. We've noticed that not all of the folks watching our videos are subscribed to our channel. We get it, YouTube is quite good at recommending the right stuff to the right people. But if you don't want to miss a video, and if you want to show some support to the Amagi, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Thanks so much. We'll start off our video with a classic duo that showed up, died, and then was never really mentioned again unless you look into some of the lore. Yes, we are talking about the Demon Brothers. Remember how they struck fear into Naruto's heart? Remember how they used those really cool like dual chain gauntlets and were supposed to work for Zabuza? Remember how they got clapped and were never heard from again? I mean, if you're a regular here at the Amagi, you probably do remember the Demon Brothers. We bring them up often in our What If series, where if we have to revisit the Land of Waves saga, then whatever team is going through that has to fight them again as kind of a rite of passage. But if you're not a big fan of the Amagi and you don't often watch the What If series, you probably don't find yourself thinking about the Demon Brothers that often. In fact, they're probably just remembered as the bloody silhouette that Sasuke causes as he goes sicko mode on these two dweebs before Naruto cuts open his hand and almost bleeds to death to try to get the poison out of him. The question I'm asking here is, what was their deal? Should they be more memorable? Like, their Narutopedia page has like 2 paragraphs in it, but like, why weren't they fleshed out a little more? It seems like there should be some more fleshing out going on here. They shared a set of gauntlets meant for 2 hands between 2 of them for some reason. The gauntlets were connected by a chain. They had poison on them, for goodness sake. Why weren't they used more? They were twins. There's gotta be something there, like Gold and Silver Brothers, Demon Brothers, maybe, I don't know. For some reason, they also completed a different amount of missions between the 2 of them, even though they were twins that shared a gauntlet. And I don't get the math there, but we'll leave that for now. Technically, we do know a little more about them. Their names are Gozu and Meizu, they're Chunin, and they come from Kirigakure. They were Zabuza's lackeys, but they did defect in the end, although nobody but the Akatsuki seems to do the whole slicing through the headband thing, so I don't know. Now, how did they earn their moniker, the Demon Brothers? Because Sasuke handled them pretty easily, and he's just a genin. Sure, he's the last Uchiha, and he's a very prolific genin, but like these guys are called the Demon Brothers. I feel like they should be able to take care of that. It doesn't seem like they were really the most effective fighters in the grand scheme of things. You know, they were Chunin, but they didn't make it past Chunin, and they did get a whole bunch of missions done, but, you know, not that many missions. It turns out that they do actually share their names with some guardians of the underworld, Oxhead and Horseface, so I suppose that's demonic enough. It's also very possible that, you know, I'm just looking way too deeply into these characters that are just supposed to introduce a larger plot point, so forgive me for that. I just want to know what happens after they escape from the tree they get pinned to, you know? What then? Why'd we never hear about them again? Next up, we've got Samui. Here's a weirdly deep cut. I know for a fact that a lot of you do remember Samui, but it isn't for her feats or her plot relevance. No, you remember her for other reasons. The weirdest part about Samui is that her two subordinates, Karui and Omoi, end up sticking around a lot longer than she did. Like, Omoi becomes an aide to Darui when Darui becomes the Raikage, and Sarui marries Choji, and then they have Chocho. So where's Samui in all this? Did she just decide to disappear after the 4th Ninja War? So what was special with her to start with? She's the calm, older sibling of Atsui, and she knows a lot about weapons, and, well, beyond that, I don't really know. She's a Jonin, so she's gotta be strong, but in terms of specialties, nothing. She does fight the Gold and Silver brothers and gets slipped up into the Bene Hisago, which is interesting in and of itself because that means she was one of the few people who was actually never under the influence of the Infinite Tsukiyomi. It must be awkward, back home when everyone's telling stories about when they were under that influence, having their dreams, and she's just sitting there, no recollection of anything, Yeah, I was in a jar. It was dark in there, I guess. You dreamed of a perfect world where everything was great for you? Oh. Next up, we've got Baki. Before I talk about the curtain-faced Suna advisor, let's just pause at a quick question. What if Grappler Baki showed up in the Naruto universe? How would he do? I feel like just through pure strength of will, he could probably do pretty well. It'd be fun. But now that that experiment is out of the way, Baki of Suna. He's definitely a ninja. I feel like Baki was built up to be this unstoppable Suna tactician, watching over their super weapon, Gaara, and then after the Konoha crush, he just ran out of stuff to do. He just defers to Gaara once Gaara stops being a lunatic, and we don't even get to see him toss out any more of those wind blade things that he said were unblockable. There was that fight against Hayate Gecko as well, and that was neat. It was kind of pitting two side characters against each other and seeing who came out on top, and Baki won that fight, right? And then Konoha just sort of forgave him. He brutalized and killed one of their Jonin during a run-up to an invasion. And they're like, you know what? We're fine with him now. He's our ally. Baki also helps Gaara get his sweetie way down the road in Gaara Shinden, but that's almost a given. If you're in Suna, Baki's gonna be around. You do have to wonder what he's thinking now that Naruto and Hinata have supposedly died. He's advising Suna, and the Hokage of the Leaf is just gone. Is it time for Suna to rise up now? Baki, where are you? And speaking of Baki, why not discuss the poor big-eyed sap who fell to him in an ill-timed night expedition? Yes, it's Hayate Gecko. This guy was sort of a big deal early on, but then he just got totally clapped. He put a sword in Baki's shoulder and just couldn't get it out. Oh, Tokubetsu Jonin, the most disposable of Jonin. Hayate's got a backstory though. He trained with Ibiki Marino, he fought against Team Orochimaru, which included Anko Mitarashi and two nobodies, and he fell in love. Aw, hell, his lover even swore revenge on Baki for killing him, but nothing ever came of that. I mean, if your lover swears revenge on the person who killed you and then never follows through, what does that say about your memorability? That's rough, buddy. Hayate's story really just sort of revolves around giving other people badass character moments. He made Baki look pretty badass, and he made Kabuto look like a madman for resurrecting him out of the ground, and he made his girlfriend re-kill him during the 4th Shinobi World War. I mean, they couldn't have sent any other ninja to fight him. I get that it's heart-wrenching, and it's good for the story to have some star-crossed lovers fight after the one had died, but why not just get Choza to come over and grow his hand really big and squish him? That's just my opinion. Oboro. Now here's one that I really honestly could not name until I looked him up. Oboro of Team Oboro. Yes, he's got his own team, complete with members Karagi and Mubi. Both also kind of worthy of being forgotten. If you're gonna remember one thing about this dude and his team, it's those weird off-yellow onesies that they all wear together that are stitched up the front. How do they get in and out of these PJs when they go into battle? Do they use substitution jutsu every time to get in, or do they rip open the seams and restitch them once they're on? I don't know. This was supposed to be Ame's big break. It's the first time we've really met anybody from Ame in a combat situation, and they send these freaks? They even come with jutsu that are never seen again. He's got his genjutsu that sort of confuses opponents, makes them really confused as to where they are in terms of directions. And then he's also got that underground projection fish move where they can move through the earth like ghosts without upsetting any of the earth. We never see that again. Weird. But I guess any major genjutsu user just falls off anyway, unless they're an Uchiha, right? Because whatever happened in genjutsu in Naruto, that's a whole forgotten character in and of itself. But, he's got his rebreather on, he's got his team, he's got his PJs. Let's go next. Speaking of pure genjutsu users who totally fell off, it's Kurenai. Whatever happened here? She's just kind of like a sad-looking lady now. I'd be surprised if she makes any sort of appearance in Two Blue Vortex. After being teased as this incredible genjutsu user, one who's got like this insane potential, she can maybe take on Itachi, she just sort of stopped doing genjutsu and really stopped doing ninja stuff in general. She led her team, sure, but if we're being totally honest here, her team is also pretty forgettable. You've got Shino, washed, Kiba, washed, and Hinata, who's cool, but she was never going to be a great ninja, let's be honest. Kurenai did clash with Itachi, that did happen, but then after that, she decided that she really didn't want to be a ninja anymore, you know? She took on some missions after this, but pretty much every time she appears on a mission doing ninja stuff afterwards, her heart's just not in it, you know? She goes to the prison, she gets beat up. She takes on those missions for the Hokage, and then she gets tied up in like hentai vines no jutsu, and then she just goes home. Asuma forgot to wear protection, and then, you know, all of a sudden Kurenai's carrying the king of shogi, right? Rip Asuma too, but after the loss of her baby daddy, you know, it was too much to bear, and Kurenai just sort of hangs out in perpetuity. I guess we can give her some credit for popping up Mirai, but we're also still waiting for Mirai to do anything really noteworthy. Next up is Yoroi. Now, a lot of the ninja that appeared during the Chunin exams were fodder, and the fact that they were all fodder except for Kabuto actually did sort of work out plot-wise, because by having all these fodder characters and then revealing that Kabuto, that other fodder character, isn't actually fodder, that floored me. I was so floored when that glasses-wearing dweeb actually turned out to be like a mastermind and Orochimaru's #1, like working from the shadows, doing all sorts of crazy stuff. That was pretty cool. So I guess Yoroi does have more significance than we give him, usually. But back to the ninja himself, he wears a super long face mask, and it's so long that I can't even really tell what his face could possibly look like. Does he have a braided beard, perhaps? Maybe some huge lips, or maybe like chin tats all the way across, but we may never know. Well, actually, we do know because he shows up again later in some filler, and he's working for Orochimaru, or one of Orochimaru's doctors, but we won't talk about that right now. He does have some cool jutsu for a guy who just sort of disappeared though. He did chakra absorption before chakra absorption was like a really big thing, you know? He could use his digits and limbs and slurp it out, and it could be pretty OP if it was developed correctly, but it was never developed correctly. He gets mollywopped by Sasuke using the Lions combo in the Chunin prelims, and then later on he sort of just gets drowned by Shino's bugs. Not exactly a phenomenal legacy, like he drops under the water and we don't get confirmation on if he's living or dead, but you know, would anybody be upset if he never returned? Now we've got another Tokubetsu, Genma Shiranui. At least Genma has that like senbon sticking out of his teeth, like an extra long cool guy toothpick. That makes him more memorable, right? But aren't senbon just like made of like iron or steel? Wouldn't that taste bad? And what if you goofed up? What if you tripped one day or fell? Like that's a dental emergency waiting to happen. So Genma's whole deal is that once Hayate died, somebody had to keep proctoring the exams, right? And he wasn't gonna let Ibiki do it because he'd just scare the crap out of everyone, so Genma stepped up. Neat. After Neji gets butt punched by Naruto, Genma says something pretentious like, even a caged bird can free itself, or even a trapped bunny can run really fast, or something like that. Then he fights Baki and doesn't get killed like that scrub Hayate. Shortly after though, he and another Tokubetsu Jonin get gang beaten by Orochimaru's magical teenager squad, and by that I mean the Sound 4. From then on, it's pretty much smooth sailing for Genma, you know, he's seen around town usually right after something important happens, like, hey, thanks for the support, could have used you while all that was happening, but I'm glad you can carry some planks around, attend a war meeting or two. One notable thing he can do is the Dollar General version of the Flying Raijin Jutsu. So he can teleport, but it takes 2 other Jonin to help, and he's got to be teleporting someone else. Damn, if only Minato could come back from the dead and fight in this war or something. Wait, alright, now it's time for Ibiki Morino. You would think that a dude whose whole deal is like torture and interrogation, he might be a little more memorable. His steely demeanor was his downfall though. No emotions. No passion. Unlike most of the other characters on this list, Ibiki actually does have some things to do during Boruto. He's still doing his job during the Kawaki arc, Code's Assault arc, and even Omnipotence. I have no doubt that his skills will be called upon again into Blue Vortex. But even when he's out doing these things, I barely remember he was there. He proctored that first tuning test and scared the crap out of all the Genin, and he summoned a giant lucky cat to imprison the animal path, and then when Kareen showed up, he interrogated her for a bit, which is all important stuff, but then he just fades into the background and you forget he was ever there, which, now that I'm thinking about it, is actually a very important skill for a ninja to have. So, you know what? You go, Ibiki. And last up on our list today, we've got Paku, and I miss the Ninken. You know, I feel like we saw a lot more of the ninja dogs near the start of the series, and even in Shippuden, the ninja pups made a few appearances. But now that we're on to Boruto, it feels like forever since we've seen any four-legged friend that's not connected to the Inuzukas. Wait a second. Don't tell me. Boruto takes place 15 years, give or take, after the end of Naruto, and the average lifespan of a pug is 12 to 15 years. Pakun was already fully grown when we met him, and now there was another time skip. I'm not even gonna say it. That's it for this list. Never forget my boy Pakun. And there you have it, a handful of oft-forgotten ninja in a world of very memorable ninja. Hopefully this jogged your memory and brought back some more happy times. Which obscure ninja do you look back upon fondly? Are there any that you wish that we included in this list? Make sure you let me know down in the comments and subscribe to the Amagi for more like this. Thanks for watching.